It's car con carne. Let's eat in the car. It's car con carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
All right, so look at this. We're officially recording. Okay. This is it. This is the show.
This is good.
We're doing this. I'm James Van Alstyne. That right there is Ike Reilly. And Christmas, Ike Reilly, is Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
It's a thing. It's coming up this Saturday. If you've procrastinated gifts, stocking stuffers, you can load up on Buona gift cards. When you buy $25 in gift cards, you get a $5 bonus card for free. And you can do that in-store or online, and maybe take that extra $5 card, give it to a mail person, maybe a friend from work. Keep it for yourself.
A male, like a female or a male?
Someone who delivers your mail from the United States Post. A post person.
All right.
A post person sounds like something that happens after the apocalypse.
I thought you were just wanted to give cards to men.
I do.
Of course.
Anyway, buy $25 worth, get $5 free. That's what I'm trying to say. In fact, you can make your Buona experience even better. Take 10% off your mobile or online orders with my promo code. That's how you know I've made it, Ike Reilly. I've got my own promo code.
What is it?
Carne10.
I am actually going to go get some cards after this.
Carne10, 10% off your online or mobile order. And all that said, we're at a Buona. We're at the Buona in Mount Prospect, 861 East Rand Road in Mount Prospect. My guest, I said his name already, but let me add more context. He is a man whose voice, lyrics, and songs are entirely unique, original, unforgettable. And I believe at this point he is the most famous person currently living in Libertyville. Frank Thomas moved out, right?
I don't know. Frank might be there.
I think he moved to Barrington. So I think you move up the depth chart.
There may be more famous people than me there still. We've got the choir boy bank robber. He's more famous than me, but
is he though?
Maybe not.
Is he though? So yes, that is Ike Reilly, a longtime friend, super talented artist. I am delighted. I am honored. I am pleased to be sharing Buona with him in the car. And we've waited too long. See, here's the thing. We haven't seen each other in person for probably 2 years. It was at the
a benefit
at the Bottom Lounge thing. So it's been 2 years this month.
Before that, it was really a long time.
It was really a long time. So we caught up a lot before we started recording, which means the food may be getting cold.
That's okay.
But we have a milkshake.
I'll do my job here first before I dig into that.
Oh, you don't want to eat and talk?
Oh, do you want to eat and talk?
It's up to you. I mean, maybe you don't want to have the milkshake as we eat and talk, because then you get like that dairy throat. Like, you'd never sing after having a shake, would you?
I've put so many liquids into my body and then sung. I'm not sure, but I'll do whatever you want.
Music to my ears. Okay, so we both got hot dogs. Here's the thing about Buona. Yes, they're famous for Italian beef and the beef and sausage. They have the Italian beefless, which a lot of artists tend to like. I had the Italian beef and giardiniera pizza last week. You got a hot dog. I thought, I don't think I've ever had a hot dog at Buona. Now's a good time.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Got you some fries.
Thank you, James.
Got myself some fries. And I got you the single dog, no onions.
That's
right?
true.
Mm-hmm. And because I'm more committed to this whole experience, I got the double dog.
You got the double dog.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm not playing games here.
So for your show, we eat and talk, right?
Yeah.
All right. I'm a really sloppy eater.
I don't know anyone who's a delicate eater, especially when I have musicians in the car. So let's talk about you, Ike Reilly.
Okay, James.
Let's talk about the new album. It is Because the Angels. Record release show happening next year in February.
Yeah, it was going to be this week, but we postponed it because of the uptick in COVID.
Keeping the fans safe.
Yeah.
Keeping yourself safe.
It's also a food drive for the Libertyville Township Food Pantry.
That's cool.
Which is, my friend is the Libertyville Township supervisor. So everyone will bring a bag of non-perishable goods. They'll get a coupon for some Ike Reilly music, which we think might deter a few of the donations, but we're gonna offer it anyway.
One of the most self-deprecating, which I think is a Midwestern thing, self-deprecating artists I know. Here's the double dog. This is going to be, if you're worried about yourself eating while doing this, putting two of these in my mouth at the same time, this is going to be
You're really shilling this place. I like that.
I love Buona.
Are they the sponsor?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, remember that whole thing about the gift cards?
I thought you were just excited about it. Oh,
We're-
you are. I mean, you are excited about
We're at a
it.
Buona location. I just read their sponsorship message.
Yeah, I just thought you were, kind of wildcatting it.
I'm a fan and a promotional partner. How about that?
That's good.
I straddle both those worlds. But let's be honest, you've known me for a while. I'll straddle anything.
I was going to say, how many times have you said straddle in this car?
All right, so the album. Let's go to that as we try to eat the hot dogs. This is a challenge. I've already spilled onions and relish everywhere. My kid's favorite hobby is coming in the car the day after I record and guessing what I had for dinner. Oh, you had Mexican.
I thought you were going to say it was licking the seats.
No,
but
that's-
I was like, we got to talk to this kid.
Yeah. I've raised them to be better than that. Thank you very much.
Just a bit.
So this, Ike Reilly, this new album, this, I think, is perhaps your most musically interesting album to date. I think you're doing lots of cool stuff here.
Well, this is unbelievable. I don't know how to answer that. I know that I'm dripping milkshake all over my London fog raincoat, but
Your milkshake brings all the podcasters to the yard.
yeah, I don't know, man.
Well,
It's definitely a musical record. It's got some of my favorite recordings that I've been a part of since I've been doing this on there for sure.
Well, you did a lot of this live to tape, right?
We did. I mean, the basic tracks for sure.
Now, for someone who doesn't understand the process, I mean, that's not necessarily the norm anymore.
I don't know what the norm is. I'm so isolated from what anybody else does.
But, I mean, you just, like, one take, just get it all down.
Kind of, For this, I had a bunch of songs. We recorded a 16-track, 2-inch tape, which is, I think people still record
You
tape.
recorded on tape.
Oh, yeah.
You are so old school. I love that.
Some of it, but then once we get that done, we load that into some software called Pro Tools, and then I overdubbed on most of them. I sung to those songs, and we overdubbed the trickery, like any kind of weird guitars. Although the basic rhythm guitars that I played and that my guitar player Phil Carnet's played, are all from the basic sessions.
This is the old radio guy in me. You mentioned trickery. Let's talk about Trick of the Light.
Yes.
The album, or the song that brings us in. I'm a fan of your lyrics, and I think anyone who talks to Ike Reilly says, oh my God, those songs you write, those stories you tell. The line, all those petty conceits, tribal beliefs, cultural creeds, and false tea leaf reads. I love that.
Thank you.
What are we talking about in this song?
Well, it's about, the intricacies of large families and how sometimes you can get bogged down with like the most petty things. And some of those things maybe are derived from your culture, your family, And
Are these kind of thoughts things that bubbled up because of being stuck at home with family for...
I wrote that before the whole thing went down. It's the kind of things that bubble up when you're in a family, And again, it's also about false hope, the song, which is funny because the song seems to provide a lot of joy to people when they hear us play it, particularly live. And, but, it's about the struggles of being in a family, and all the perception people have, so much of it is false, like what you think people in your own family are believing about you, and some of it's true. And so it's just about kind of dealing with that and, looking for some, it's actually, it isn't a song that I think would make people want to look towards the future too much, but...
Well, if they're not paying attention to the lyrics, it feels more joyful than the lyrics let you in on.
That's partially why I wanted my family to sing it with me, because we all are recognizing the flaws and of ourselves within the family and the foibles that we participate in. But when we sing it together, and if people don't know, the lead vocals are shared by my 3 sons and myself, and it's somewhat of a conversation, and but when we sing it, it's a riot and it's joyful, and we got all our shit right out on the table.
I want to say, just so you don't feel weird, I'm chowing down on this entire hot dog because, as you know, when you start a hot dog, you can't just set it down for a minute.
Well, I had to.
Well, but then it becomes like beat the clock, because then the bun gets a little moist and it starts to fall apart, so you really have to eat it quickly before it all ends up on your lap. It's a race against time, Ike Reilly.
I know it. So I was trying to just spew out some answers so you could get that hot dog down.
Thank you. So with your kids, your sons, they're not kids, have they always been interested in what you did musically, or did they go into it kicking and screaming? Was there a rebellious period where they weren't interested in music at all?
No, they weren't. They were around. Everything that I did musically was done in our studio was in the house. Mm-hmm. People were coming in and out, musicians. They weren't like in bands or in band or any of that shit. My oldest boy started writing songs, and the younger 2 are big music fans, but none of this really came about until just prior to the lockdown. And then once we were locked down, we started doing this family live streams, and so they did like 25 gigs with me. And
yeah, you were doing that a lot.
I think we were doing it for a while, every 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And then to a month, and we just did a Christmas show right now that you could still watch, but that really was an immersion in singing and putting on a show, and it worked out, and unfortunately for them, they sound a little bit like me, and that genetic connection is cool for harmonization.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Well, I was talking about putting on a show. Trick of the Light has kind of a traveling roadshow vibe.
It's a strange song, with 3 different lead vocalists. My band, which, can handle any kind of... like you said, the record is all over the place. And they're nimble enough to, have a gentle touch or a hard touch. But that song is kind of a... it's not like the band's The Weight, but it's inspired by that changing lead vocal.
Let's talk a little bit about where this album goes sonically. You go right for straight-up country music on this. You've got country vibes.
More than I ever have. Ever.
For sure.
And what colors a lot of that is the pedal steel, which is Pistol from the band Cracker. He was nice enough to play on it. But I've always kind of steered clear of that kind of stuff. Almost steered clear of... I even steered clear of blues music for a long time, even though it's such a part of what I do. Mm-hmm. I don't know why, but there are some real country kind of influence songs on this record.
Like Laura, the guitar licks on that are very country western.
I tried to make the songs... I shouldn't say I tried to make. I'm happy that the songs that are the most country are the most radical lyrics, in the sense that they wouldn't necessarily be popular among country fans.
Yeah, exactly.
They might be. I don't know every country fan, but you're not going to hear a Toby Keith singing Laura or The Failure of St. Michael.
Speaking of The Failure of St. Michael, you mentioned harmonies. I think that's a great example.
Yeah. That's a great example.
Yeah. When I first heard this album, and I mentioned this to you, the one that grabbed me instantly, probably not surprisingly, was Ashes to Ashes.
Yeah, that's Well, that's one of those songs that we just captured on tape too. It's kind of like, I don't know if that's a country song or a R&B song. It's a weird tale about, I was in Mexico in the mountains for a few weeks pulling teeth on a dental mission trip. And I wrote that song down there because I was sleeping on the floor of this church called San Miguel, and there were all these effigies of Jesus, like in glass caskets, and there was just so much of Mexican art, both secular and non-secular, deals with death, and which I'm a fan of the art. And so I did meet a girl down there, and I kind of built this song around our meeting. But really what was just reaffirmed that no matter where we're from, we're humans, and we should be bound by our humanity and our life and our death. And so much of that separates us. So that song is really, it's just an affirmation that we are all definitely going to die and be in the earth.
Now, that song, this was originally like 7 minutes long?
Yeah.
Did you basically just like fade it down when you started to jam?
We just, the jam at the end is really, really great. In fact, it's going to be on the vinyl release.
Awesome. It's
really cool. These songs were recorded to tape. We did a couple different takes of them. And the end is just, it shows the improvisational nature that my band has, both live and on recordings. And it also shows that we have the confidence to do that. Just so many years of playing together and shows and recordings, and it's, in a way, it's got, we're all working from the same framework. We're all working from the same
blueprint,
but people are going off a little bit. To me, it sounds like it should be played during a car chase.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it's got an edge to it, but it rocks.
Yeah.
It's got some tempo.
Yep. And it's the groove is rock solid, man. It's pretty cool.
So you mentioned pulling teeth in Mexico. The thing about Ike Reilly, I hate this metaphor, but talking to you is always like peeling back layers of the onion. I always find and learn new things when I talk to you, whether it's a life experience of being in Mexico. All that is to say, I wonder if you're bringing in a previous occupation. You talk about digging the grave and fuck the good old days. You used to be a grave digger. Is that a callback to the ghost of Ike Reilly past?
Yeah, that's a part of, I worked at Ascension Cemetery for 7 summers, and it had an indelible impact on me. I was young.
How could it not?
I attended 200 funerals before I was probably 24. Now I wasn't an invited guest. I was in a gray uniform behind the pine tree, waiting for people to go to the Gale Street Inn so I could fill the grave in. But religion and my jobs have had they've colored what I've written about, like I assume they would for anybody.
For sure. And we've talked about how interesting and diverse...
This is a fucking gag cup, right? You got me the gag cup?
Sorry. Yeah, you fell for it. Merry Christmas.
Twice. And you know what? I'm not banking that it won't happen again.
No, sorry about the London fog, but a high-caliber coat like that, it can take it.
I'll pick the trash up later.
So we're talking about the diverse palette of sounds and styles that you pull from for this album. Does that sound pretentious enough?
Yeah, keep it pretentious.
Yeah. Okay.
We're sitting in your car in a parking lot.
Eating hot dogs.
I think we can err on the side of pretension.
Exactly. So, we're talking about Fuck the Good Old Days. There's like that gospel hand-clapping vibe going on there. I love that.
That was the whole band. We laid a kick drum. The beat of the song is just it's a kick drum, perfectly played by the great Dave Cotini, and perfectly recorded by another Italian, Dave Maratona, and but it didn't have enough movement not to part. So that was an overdub we did to tape right there, all around some vintage mics up at Fat Studios, and that's hand claps. But Dave had some weird bag of shells too. I don't know what they were, but if you hear it, it's like, there's this little shaking going on because Dave had a bag of shells, and it's a really cool rhythm track.
Super fun. And again, the album, it's called Because the Angels, Final Coming Soon, with the extended version of Ashes to Ashes. I wanted to talk about the last song on the album because Raquel Blue, this is kind of the song like you'd hear when the credits roll. This really is a fitting end to the album.
It's a song we close our show to now also, and so we hadn't played, we went out and did 18 shows in November around the Midwest. And so Raquel Blue, you asked me earlier, about the record. This seems to be, it's my favorite recording that we've ever done. And
that song,
that recording of that song, and it's it's a narrative that isn't like a point A to point B. It's kind of it's impressionistic, like there's these little anecdotes within it. But musically, it has a melancholy vibe and a longing vibe. And there's this gang vocal that you probably have heard. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I was thrilled to have this happen a couple times. It would be the last song in our set. And, we had played, the record had come out in October, and we were at a club in St. Louis, and first shows are always kind of tough. This one wasn't very tough. We were really ready, and we closed with an a cappella ending to that song of those gang vocals with all three of my boys and the whole band singing it and the whole club singing it. And then we went into the dressing room, and I kept hearing it continue, and I thought, they put the record on or something. But the audience had kept singing it until we came back out. And that happened a few times on the road, and it was, unfortunately, they filmed and recorded this whole tour. So
how great does that feel?
It was kind of chilling in a way. It was like...
For a new song?
New song, yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
And it was... And that song brought a real communal feel between the band and the audience. And I used to take all that stuff for granted when I was drunk. That anything you could write would be meaningful to somebody else. But
and I think people feel like they know you through your caricatures and the stories you tell. I think at the very minimum, your fans think they have an insight into you personally.
Maybe I do feel that when people come to the shows, they do have a familiarity with me that could only that upon our meeting could only disappoint them. Because that's what it's funny. Like, people are actors, and people understand that. Nobody wants to necessarily kill or attack Scorsese because he makes violent movies, but there's a weird middle area, I think, of musicians. Songs are based in truth. These aren't necessarily all self-referential songs.
Right, of course.
There's situations that evolve into songs, but there's also enough of me in them too, to where the line between truth and lies and who I am and who the character in the song is, they're blurry. And it's weird because sometimes people forget that you're making all this stuff up.
Right. I'm sure.
You know.
The new album is Because the Angels. Before we continue talking, Ike Reilly, I do want to again mention we're at Buona in Mount Prospect because they're a sponsor.
And I really did enjoy that hot dog.
I'm going to really enjoy these French fries. I should mention, since we're at Buona, it's Buona's 40th anniversary year of their family business. Cheers to 40, Buona. And you can be part of the celebration. Join My Buona Rewards today and get free Buona. All new members get 1,500 points, or do you say 1,500?
1,500.
Yeah, you do. Get rewarded every time you visit. That's with My Buona Rewards.
Who owns this operation?
The Buona family. Family owned 40 years.
That's really nice. Are they still running it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All from Chicago? Or
I believe, and I'm no Buona expert. I just claim to be right now. I believe they're Berwyn-based. I think that's where the first one started, and I think that's their base of operations.
Over near Fitzgerald's, the nightclub.
Over by Dare. Right off 290. Berwyn, Illinois, home of Buona Beef.
Gotta be fucking
Svengoolie. Do you need more napkins? I have wet wipes.
Give me a wet wipe. How many times has that been uttered in this car?
Every week. Every week.
Straddle and wet wipe.
Uh-huh.
Moist.
Welcome aboard, Ike Reilly. So, as we talk about things like your grave digging past and your Mexico tours, your touring as a musician, I'm sure you've been asked this. I'm sure I probably asked this of you in years past. Why not write a book?
Because that's too hard. And songs are easy. They're short. Their songs are for the lazy writer, I think. But
I feel like you need to get all this stuff down on paper instead of these one-off anecdotal stories. I think it's interesting stuff. I mean, you are the rock and roll everyman.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna get on that tonight.
You're not going to.
Yeah. I will.
How about a screenplay?
I've dabbled in all that. That's how I got a record deal. I was working on a screenplay, and I sent it to this friend of mine. He was an acquaintance. You were involved in my life at this time.
I was.
And you remember when I was hanging out at the studio in Elston?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
We recorded stuff there.
Yes, we did. In fact, it still exists.
Yeah.
I
believe you played Angels and Whores in that session.
I may have. You're better than I am at that.
That's right. Go ahead.
So I was working on this treatment, and I sent it to this guy, and he says he liked it, and then he said, "What else are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I've been fucking around with some songs," and he goes, "Could you send them to me?" And I said, "Yeah." And I sent him the demos, which were on for the first record. And
so that was like Hip Hop Thighs.
Hail, and he calls me back. I'll get you a fucking record deal. I said, "Oh, yeah, I've been doing this. I was already doing it for like 20 years. I was like, sure you will."
Uh-huh.
And his name was Daniel Nix. He's still a friend of mine. And sure enough, within a couple of weeks of,
It was quick.
he called me up. Well, a couple things fell through, but I didn't even have a band, and I was working with Ed Tinley,
right,
who I'd just gotten to know, and within a couple of weeks, I had all these record companies, sniffing around. I think DreamWorks or somebody offered me a deal, and I was like really like I was kind of shocked, and my wife and I remember we went out and I think we celebrated. And then, in typical fashion, like 2 weeks later, I actually got signed by a guy that was in the Dust Brothers, which are a production guy named Mike Simpson. Mm-hmm. He had done like Beck's record, and his famous first song was Tone Loc's Wild Thing. So, and he wanted to make a record with me. Then he called me and said, "Hey, they changed their mind." I'm like, that's what I thought was going to happen. Which really, after having your guard up for your whole life, you're like, all right, I'm fine, just writing songs. And so that was disappointing. And then Daniel Nix said, "Fuck them, don't worry about it." And then I wrote and recorded, Put a Little Love in It, and that song Kami Drives Nova. And he went back out like 4 months later, and everybody else came back, and I ended up signing with the wrong people, but it doesn't. But it was funny. I'm just literally as obscure sitting, living in Libertyville, but most of my time was spent on Elston and Armitage.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And at the Riptide. But
so the album Salesmen and Racists, that was 20 years ago.
Yep.
Which 20 years ago this year.
Yep.
What have you learned since then?
Oh, I learned you shouldn't waste a ton of time working. No, I shouldn't say it that way. If you waste a ton of time writing and recording songs, you shouldn't go out on tour and be drunk the whole time. That's one thing I learned. Two things is
lesson for the kids at home.
Yeah, I mean, I put so much, I don't know if it was effort, but I put more care into the creation of the songs than the presentation of them live. I took for granted that people who heard the songs would be moved by them. I couldn't, I don't know if that's I don't really have like a self-esteem issue, but I was like, are you kidding me? People come to the shows with lyrics tattooed on them, and instead of celebrating, I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing to your body? I'm like, you can't do that, because you can't change that.
And people really did have?
Many times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I still think, I haven't talked with you about that album in a very long time. I still think Crave is a minor Ike Reilly masterpiece. It's
a cool production. I don't like the way I sung that version, but I really, that was a lot of the production. A lot of that record is Ed Tinley. I didn't know anything about recording at all, and he had worked with all sorts of people, and he was a guy that could play. He still can play. He's been involved on every record I've ever made,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that song has horns and has military drum beat, and it's a pretty song.
It is.
I don't ever play it, but I think I'm going to start.
Oh, I'd love that.
Yeah, it's cool. I couldn't get into it in the middle of our songs are kind of diverse, and the vibe of the show can be, celebratory and raucous, and sometimes it's hard to bring the more intimate songs into the live set. But we've been doing it, and we've been doing it with my boys on the road, because we break down, and Shane, my son, comes out and joins me on the Muhammad Ali Museum, and then we play one of his songs, which
of course is like the only song from the new album I didn't mention.
That's all right. I
think I covered everything else.
You've covered a lot.
All right, so if you're not going to do a screenplay, if you're not going to write a book, we know...
I didn't say I'm not going to.
It's not in the immediate future, but we do know that there has been a documentary swirling around you.
There has been, and I just saw a long version of it, and I'm not too ashamed. It's pretty incredible, actually. They've been... I have footage of my first foray into CBGBs, and it looks like 1989 maybe.
Oh, wow.
I've got footage from the hotel when I was working. I've got... and part of the film is the intersection between my family and the band, which is something I never really expected, as we talked about earlier. Mm-hmm. But we have footage of those kids being around the music and being involved when they were really little, and it culminates with their performances at the First Avenue in Minneapolis and their participation in this new record. And it's about failure and financial struggles and alcoholism and religion and camaraderie and
in other words, stuff we can all relate to.
I think so. Don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I couldn't watch a music documentary if my life depended on it. So that's the only thing I said to these people. I mean, it's got to deal with it. Make it so somebody that isn't some Wicker Park hipster, is that?
Yeah, you didn't want like 90 minutes of someone jerking you off, talking about how great.
No, I have a film of that. But,
yeah. It's huge in Japan for reasons I can't understand.
You can understand. Yeah, who knows? It also, I said, make it try to make it a commercial for the songs. I said, have it do something for me.
As uncomfortable as you are listening back to yourself or watching yourself, you've done music videos.
Yeah.
How do you feel when you watch yourself doing those?
Usually I got some control over those, so I'm like, all right, that's not too bad.
Okay.
It's and I'm not, I'm not in Kirksville, Missouri on a Wednesday night in front of 90 people where I just did 20 shots of vodka and a Red Bull, took a hit of weed and went and played or something. I don't really regret. I do regret some of that, and that's what's interesting about watching this footage. You're like, oh my God.
But don't you feel, with the benefit of being of the age you're at now, all that stuff, all the misdeeds, all the stuff you did when you were younger, they allowed you to be who you are now, and you're pretty happy with who you are now. I
wasn't unhappy with who I was then. I'm unhappy with who I was then now.
Got it. That's a fair distinction.
I mean, I think we talked about the inability for humans to dwell on their own death too long. Their brain won't allow it. That was off the air, though.
It was off the air. We got really deep.
Yeah, but I think I have the inability to dwell on how much I hate myself for only, I can only dwell on it for like 3 or 4 days at a time. No, I'm kidding.
So you are Ike Reilly. I'm glad we got to do this, because last time we talked, it was virtual.
Oh, yeah. Was that the same show?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, here's the deal. When the pandemic hit, I'd been in this podcast for 6+ years, and I thought, if I don't find a way to keep the podcast going, it's dead. Like, I've got to keep the podcast alive, because who knew how long it would be before I could emerge and start doing the podcast from the car again. So I started doing it nightly from home once the pandemic hit.
Did you do one every night?
Yeah.
Every single night?
Every weeknight, yeah.
5 nights a week?
Yes.
I must really be low on the totem pole if you...
You were early in the pandemic. No, you take that back. You were early in the pandemic. But it served 2 purposes. One, it kept the podcast alive. I mean, this podcast could not be here now if I hadn't kept it aloft for as long as I did.
You eat this food 5 nights a week?
Well, no, when I did it virtually, I did it 5 nights a week. I do it in the car weekly.
Okay,
Oh, no,
I was thinking that's a lot of hot dogs. That's the only thing I was thinking.
Here's the great thing about Buona, Ike Reilly. You could have a salad one night and soup the other night.
I was going to order salad, but I didn't want you to ridicule me.
The buffalo salad here is delicious. But the point is, one, the podcast needed to be kept alive, and that was why I did it nightly during the pandemic. Also, it gave me something to focus on. Knowing that the world was just this massive shit sandwich, I needed the distraction. It kept me connected with different people on a nightly basis. It kept me connected with an audience. It was just a way to keep my mind and social self engaged.
I totally understand that, because that was the same thing that our live stream did for our family. I mean, there would have been a mass murder in our house.
Police were called to Libertyville last night.
5, 6 Irish people, who we can't figure out who pulled the trigger, but they're all dead.
Right. Described by neighbors as a charming family who you'd never expect to do something like this.
Always. Yeah.
All right, Ike Reilly, thank you.
You got it, James.
Love the new album. Love your music. Always have.
I got to say, I always appreciated your enthusiasm about all music, and I probably took you for granted, too, and I'm not anymore.
Ike Reilly.